Thanks for staying with us now. Nigeria's decision to suspend Twitter at first indefinitely but later temporarily could backfire for the government and cost the country economically in terms of new investment into its technology sector. Now, the ban may threaten Nigeria's status as one of the best performing African countries in attracting investment for technology startup businesses. Now, according to NetBlocks, a watchdog organization that monitors cybersecurity and governance of the internet, each hour of social media gagging costs Nigeria about $250,000. So if you approximate that, that's about 102.5 million naira. Now, bringing the daily loss to about 2.5 billion. It means the economy would have lost approximately 7.5 billion in the past 3 days. The suspension has already created a market access gap for millions of small and medium-scale businesses that use the platform to reach their customers. Now, this could potentially complicate the challenges COVID-19 and other structural defects had imposed on the businesses already struggling. Now, also, the e-commerce market in the country isn't left out, as an estimated $12 billion loss might hit the sector. So what's the implication of this ban on our digital economy and advertising? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WadeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WadeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081 803-84663. Sorry, there's no Twitter. Just WhatsApp.
WhatsApp and DM us on Instagram.
The thing that, you know, it's automated in my head.
Send a DM on Instagram.
Please, DM on Instagram. I didn't say Twitter. Please, send us SMS and WhatsApp. I could wrote it in my script, but you know when you think is in your head. But let me quickly hear from Lami and Elsie before I bring in our guests. In a minute, what do you think this implication is? When I saw the numbers, it was alarming for me. 2.5 billion naira daily.
But I really want to hear Lami from the legal angle.
What the government has done, as far as I'm concerned, it's illegal. And what really put me off was when the Attorney General, I think the NBA has to sanction this Attorney General. And I think he's one of the worst Attorney Generals we have
ever had.
Attorneys General, rather, that we have ever produced in Nigeria. It's so incompetent. How can you say that the violators of the Twitter ban, when they arraign them in court, they will
now know the law that
is it possible? Because it is in the Constitution, I think Section 39 or so, that you cannot be arrested and arraigned in court until you know what your offense is. So, as we speak, the offense has not been created because, as far as I'm concerned, there is no law backing it up. The legislature has not made a law. It's just an executive order. So what is the legality for that? How can you then arraign people in court and they will now find out what their offense is? And he said it with his full chest.
Yes, with his full chest.
Libros
Ozekhome has said that he's ready. Libros Ozekhome is ready to defend all the people they would arrest for free.
For free. Yes. No, because it's a very, what would I say? Elementary matter. You know, even a second-year law school student would defend all these violators, so to speak, violators. Because as we speak, there is no offense as we speak. It's just an executive order. Then you cannot, well, if they create it, yes, maybe, but not as we speak. So if I still violate it this night, they cannot do anything.
It became more interesting for me when I saw the circular from the
NBC, yes.
Instructing us, which is why we are not using, you can't tweet at us today, that we cannot reference Twitter or pick any news from there or use it as an image and all that. And my question now is it fight? Is it now that deep? Like, you're making it look like Twitter killed somebody and you have to stay away from it, and if you touch it...
statement.
Which statement? So it's becoming more irritating as far as I'm concerned, but I'd love to hear.
I'd love to hear from the guests, but quickly, on social media, on Twitter, I still saw major newspaper, major news platforms.
They didn't deactivate their account.
They are still tweeting.
Why should you force them to? They have a right. They have a right of assembly, association, and of speech, and to receive information. So how can you compel me to deactivate it?
Okay, so let me bring in our guests.
Before you bring in the guests, I also would love us to touch on the advertising. I mean, I think that's part of the places that the monies are running away from, right? So what impact it's having on digital marketing as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely, because that's why we even brought Franklin. Franklin is here to talk about the economic angle of the matter. So Franklin Ozekhome has led multidisciplinary teams through the development of innovative services and products from conception to realization. He collaborates with connection partners, planners rather, data scientists, strategists, project managers, and entrepreneurs to design future-forward marketing toolkits, programs, and strategy playbooks for applied innovations and business transformation in the SSA market. Ozekhome is passionate about trends, research, consumer intelligence, and cultural foresight. He is a creative mind behind Think Africa, that's Trends Plus Intelligence Network, and B School, a strategy and innovation academy for marketing and creative professionals. And he's joined us live in studio with a lovely hairdo. Thank you so much. A creative hairdo.
Very great.
Your head did, yeah. A creative hairdo. So, Franklin, it's such an honor to have you here with us this evening. So, for us, having this conversation is more of, you know, trying to open the minds of probably our leaders that are watching, and for us young people, where there are opportunities. Because when I saw 2.5 billion naira, Biko, I want to create my own platform. It's the money that is calling me.
Yes.
You know, because for me, when I saw that 2.5 billion naira loss on a daily basis, I never would have equated Twitter to be making that much money, right? So maybe you should help us, show us the money. What exactly is happening, and how is this disrupting the advertising and the digital economy, you know, the ban on Twitter?
All right, thank you very much. It has a very, what I call an adverse effect on the digital advertising, because we're talking about millions of conversations that go on every single day. And because of that, as a microblogging platform, it has attracted a lot of brands, individuals, startups, SMEs, venture capitalists, different kind of people just trying to express themselves within a certain amount of content. You're talking about, 40 plus, words. Now you don't have to. You don't have to put a lot of investment in just expressing yourself. So even if you have one piece of article, let's say 5,000 words, you could have and process it in about 15 to 16 pieces of Twitter form, and the engagement is more enriching. The comments are what people actually look at. The feedback, the interaction, the engagement, right or wrong, you have a right to express yourself, and that's what Twitter helped to democratize access to, form of marketing. Before then, it was long form of listening. That was when blogging was huge. You don't hear about bloggers anymore. They've all, crushed to, visual forms, which is Instagram, video form, which is YouTube, and then micro-blogging platform, which is Twitter, and now they've taken that away. Now, what's the impact? Of course, it's huge for brands. First of all, they have to find an alternative, whether you like it or not, which is where those micro dollars are going to go. Now, it doesn't just affect advertisers. There's always an ecosystem around advertising. There are those that produce content, those that put in the content, those that measure and apply and analyze, and all of the other stakeholders within that value chain. They are all affected. And of course, there are also people in that value chain that, need those forms of expression to also make things happen for them. So you're talking about between 7 to 8 different stakeholders on that platform. We're talking about the visible one, the brands. They're the guys that advertise those brands. They're the guys that produce those brands. They're the guys that write those brands. So if you're looking at the structure, you're talking about content writers, visual artists, producers, those on the background that create all of those things, the research firms, those that check for sentiments and analysis, all of that, poof. Where are they going to go to? That's the question. That's on the one end. The other end is, what's the future of microblogging, as it were? Even if the ban was lifted, there's this scare that will be there. It could also happen to Instagram, which is what people, it could happen to YouTube.
Facebook.
So what would happen? That's what brands will start asking their consultants. What can I do to ensure that this does not, all of the campaigns that have been planned for the past 3-4 days that have all been disrupted. Now, those agencies will lose that money. The brands will lose visibility, awareness. The research firms will lose sentiments and all of the things. Even the government itself has lost touch with what's happening real time with its own citizenry. And then you have to ask yourself, why would it do that? It was a platform for them to have responded in kind, engaged, and even probably put a Twitter poll and said, okay, we said this, you didn't like it. How do you think we should have expected it? Yes or no? And use that as a form of communication. That's the whole idea. You engage. You might not like what I say, but that's conversations. So all that is lost
So
now.
do you think maybe the government, they want to take us back to traditional? People bring your money to us, TV. because it seems like, you know, from what you explained, it seems like they prefer the local channel. Let us just go to
because
switch
they
on
think
channel
they
408.
they can always use NBC to gag
Yes.
the TV stations, and that's what they really
Yeah.
want to do. But talking about brands, really, the sector I would maybe want to use as an example now would be the banks. And we know our experience with banks and going in there for customer service and all that. And it has even gotten to a point where people will tell you if you want them to get your issues resolved on time,
Just go
tweet
and
at
tweet
them and it will be resolved. But if
Yes.
you keep going into their building from now till tomorrow, they might not respond to you. But because of that brand perception that they also want to uphold, they will
response.
always respond to you. So
Yes.
what is going to happen to the space? I don't know if you have banks in your portfolio now that you're working with. What is their reaction? How are they handling the situation? And what is the impact as well to customer experience?
Yeah, we're creating alternative avenues. I think one of the key things you said is when there's a complaint or something has happened, you can respond real time, and the customer feels good. They heard me. They heard what I have to say. Now both parties have lost out on their account because of another party. What's going to happen is the other platforms we have are going to have a huge boost. A lot of influx of funds are already going to there, but it cannot be business as usual. So, for example, Instagram will not just be able to just run, visual stuff. We have to start looking for creative ways to share content. So you're going to see a lot of rooms being created for things like WhatsApp, Clubhouses. There are going to be private rooms created with special invites to people. So if you don't have access or a coupon or a code, you can't have access to those rooms. You're going to have a lot of stuff happening on the black web, where, or you're monitoring us, all right, we're going to be on the web, but you're not going to see what's happening. Twitter was a form of expression where you could see what's going on with certain boundaries. Now they're going to still do what you say they're not going to do, but now you don't have access. You don't even know what's going on. So the conversations are going to happen, but you don't know what's going on. And that's the ingenuity of innovation. So this is going to happen. But for brands with credibility and, we need to see what's happening above a certain level. Other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook will attract more visibility, but not in the same form. So content format is going to change. You're going to see more micro seconds things, like 30 seconds, 1 minute. Visual form used as content, if you know what I mean. Yes, so Twitter was text-based, words, but now we're probably going to have that same form in the visualized format. So you're going to see a lot of videos coming up. Those that are visual artists and into production, you're going to see a lot of investment in brands in visual form of communication. Those that can also now start creating multimedia messages on smartphones. We usually use it for text and stuff, but now multimedia messages will come be the next big thing, where you can send emojis, context, upload documents as well while sharing one or two things. So those are the things that will jump up in the short form. In the long form, people will start creating alternative platforms like what I've mentioned, where it's only by invitation. And they can monitor, track who is coming to that places, so they know who you are and you have credibility. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to gather data, insights, and use those things as well to curate special experiences, products, and services. And we can't do that if we just have different kind of people enter that experience. The benefit for why we do brand advertising is because we need to amplify what's happening in culture. And you can't just start talking and, creating or curating experiences if you don't know how to use those experiences and feedback. It's like a loop. I say, do you like this? You say, no. Do you like the other one? I said, yes. I take the one you like. I create it for you. I see how you use it. I use it to develop another product and vice versa. And then you also say, okay, I like this. I want this. So it's back and forth. It's the same thing. That's why there's exponential growth. It's a gain and win reward. That is gone.
Wow.
But like I said, alternative media formats, content itself will be huge, but formats will change. Very dynamic.
So
Okay,
I was going to
sorry,
say-
let's just take a very short break. When we come back from the break, I'll take Lami's question. Stay with us, we'll be right back.